I can see. What are you on delay? Is that what's happening?
No delay. That was just me waving because we went live.
Oh. Hey, Ben. All right. Let's see. Let me try and get into here. Happening now. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the replay. I'm watching LinkedIn, so it's 2 minutes behind. Hi,
I'm still trying to
Cynthia.
get to it. It takes me a second. All right, there we go.
That's gonna be a far more
We always
casual, so we can just talk to the audience here. So let us know if you're tuning in. Let us say hi. We can say hi. It's not as formalized this time.
Hello, everyone. Let's see. We've got more people on. We'll get more people going. Welcome. So today this is our first AMA or Ask Us Anything. So AUA. We've been doing this for, it's been like 5 months, 5.5 months, 6. So we started this a while ago and we haven't even gotten on at all yet to just have it just be us. So this one is for you guys. They're all for you, but this one's for you guys. Any questions that you guys have, it can be project management related. It can be operating system or PMO or leadership, or it could even just be a question for one of us to get to know us a little better.
If you dare to.
So what'd you say?
If you dare to. Hi, Tony. Hi, Adam, and hi, Dean. Thanks for tuning in.
So yeah, please feel free. This is literally us just the cuff, ask whatever, or we'll answer whatever questions you guys have. Also, would love to hear. I know we get a lot of regulars. You guys are tuning in. Let us know, how else we can support you. What other topics we can teach on or do lives on? Have you been wanting any specific guests on? We still have a lineup. We've got a lineup for March, which we have to promote. We will. We'll get that promoted this week. But we've got coming up. We've got Clint Kendrick coming up. He's big in M&A. He's a colleague of Justin's. And then to round out March, we will bring in back Elias Cobb. We bring him in about quarterly because he's just a really popular guest. So yeah, please drop your questions in. This is an AMA. I don't think we have too much to sync on, though. We can certainly talk about specific subjects, but without your questions, we don't really have an agenda today. So please, unless you want us just talking to ourselves for a while, this one's for you. Anything you guys want to know, we will be happy to answer.
Let us first start by saying thank you. Thank you for always coming to support our lives, asking thoughtful questions, promoting our content, and for just being a great advocate for the PM career growth ecosystem. So tell us about a time you had a gut feeling things are going sideways in a project, and what steps did you take? Oh boy, that's a timely one.
Like an interview question.
That's a very timely one. I have to be careful. We're on a recorded line.
I feel like this is a failure question or mistake question. This feels very interviewy. Tell me about a time. You have one in mind. Go for it, Justin. I'll think on mine.
Yeah. So, Dean, first things first is that in one of my projects, I won't say if it's current or not, I'll keep it as obscure as I can. I usually meet with a client, fly out, and we grab dinners, we have conversations, we report out to larger business organizations, and we build rapport. For the first time on the project, I ran into a situation where they did not want me to come out And that was just a weird sign that the tides were shifting. It's either the budget or it was around some sort of concern. It looks like the LinkedIn dropped for a second.
No, got it. We're still live.
Okay. Okay, so concern around performance, no more of a correction type of question. Yeah, no, this is raw. So I would have conversations with the stakeholders on a sidebar saying, is there some sort of concerns that you have around the performance of the program or not? And then also just meeting with the internal teams and having those conversations as well. So what I did when they ran sideways on a project, the first thing I do is I connect with each of the individuals, get a pulse check from just a general question. How are things going? And kind of seed around that information. Is it a performance issue? Is it a cost issue? And get it from different angles. And that has been always helpful for me, is to try to get a lay of the land, even from their body language. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that the verbal that they're giving me is going to be, sweet words or performance related information, but being able to read their body language and see the intent of their answers, I was able to determine that it wasn't a personal problem, and it was in fact it was a financial reason. So we needed to be a little bit more cognizant around the finances. And so what came after that was going to be more reporting as well. So I kind of had that foresight and started to build reports around that. And then we started to work through kind of, we won't call it micromanagement, but a little bit more transparency on the day-to-day operations for a while. So summary to your question, Dean, what I did when I had a gut feeling things were wrong, I went and talked to people, validated my assumptions, and then took some actions to help mitigate those negative impressions or negative optics. Go ahead, E. I think you'll probably have a better way to frame this than me.
I haven't come up with an answer yet because I was also trying to listen to yours and see if I had feedback on it. Oh boy, let's see. I had a gut feeling things were going sideways. I guess for me, not necessarily sideways, but I think something you guys will all be familiar with is when you're given a timeline to complete a project and they keep throwing more scope on top of it. So I've had a situation in like multiple places. There was one place I worked that I had to deliver. So in 10 months, I came onto a project. I was a contractor at the time, came onto a project, and found out when I came on as a program manager that I had 10 months to deliver this program that was still, requirements were still being figured out, designs were still being figured out, a lot of different vendors all over the country. And what I had to deliver in 10 months, it was 4 mobile apps, 2 website redesigns. On top of that, a CRM platform migration, as well as an AWS like infrastructure cloud migration. All of that was the same program launching at the same time. So I guess for me, it wasn't necessarily a gut feeling. It was just like, yeah, I don't know how this is going to happen coming on to like that and having it get done in 10 months. I did it in 10 months. But that's a lot of coordination. So how do you do that in 10 months? It's more, I learned the lay of the land. I sat down with all the solution architects. I understand all of their architecture and how the systems spoke with each other. At the start, I jumped into the designs. I also had to play a little bit of product manager too. So I really learned who my team was, who my stakeholders were, who the vendors were, right? And it was a lot of compression. There was also a lot of back and forth with me requesting more time from C-suite who refused to give it to me. But just a lot of refinement. And unfortunately, that was one where a lot of people had to work the weekends, like for 10 months straight. But it's a lot of kind of refinement and providing trade-offs and being very clear on where we are in the process, what status color we are, what's going on, where we need support, and where we need to bring in additional people. So I guess that's kind of what I think of I had a gut feeling the second I started. So all right, let's see. So Adem says you both have combined experience of over 3 decades managing projects of varying complexities. If there's one thing you're each given the power to change in how PM is practiced today, what would that be and why? It's a really good question. Justin, have you been able to think on this yet or not yet?
Think on it. I already have. I can.
Oh, but go for it. I just read it. So you
Yeah.
go and I'll go.
Hold on. Before that, Dean, let us know if we answered your question or if you have any follow-up questions. I was talking on mute, so I just realized that. Adem, so thank you for your question. 3 decades of managing projects, and what do I normally see? Project managers really don't have an understanding of business processes. They don't understand business acumen. And that's the first thing that I harp on all the time. Understanding the survivability of the business, understanding the business processes and functions of a business organization in general, HR, finance, accounting, operations, sales, marketing, IT, and what are their pain points, as well as what systems and sources do they use? How do they structure their processes in terms of decision-making, workflows, all of that. These are the things that if a project manager truly understood them, then they can have conversations functionally with any of the particular stakeholders, identify risks and issues either in the upstream or downstream, as well as the broader ecosystem of the organization. And when you understand and can talk about these functions and values for different departments, cross-functional relationships are easier to build. You can build yourself a strong rapport very quickly and set yourself apart in the marketplace. Most project managers can't talk about these things. They're not going to know about the differentials of costs, revenue, or even the functional elements of a department. So that's the first thing that we specifically have also built for PM career growth. It's politics and business acumen. And so those would be the 2 things that I would change immediately. But I emphasize business acumen in case you want to talk about politics.
No, you started with business acumen, but you went towards where I go, which is systems thinking. Understanding the upstream and the downstream is really important. And you can take it on multiple levels. Like it goes back to where I go with understand. So I have a different answer, but just kind of jumping on yours because they're all important. And I don't know which one I would say is the most important. I'd have to think about that. But from a systems thinking perspective, even if you don't take it from the business perspective yet and you just start learning, let's say you're a technical project manager or program manager, right? And you know how in the previous example, I literally just said the first thing I did was I learned the technology, like understanding, let's say as a PM, you've got engineers that are building a solution. It doesn't have to be engineers, but in this case, because I'm most familiar with tech, right? Engineers who are building a solution, and you really should be jumping in, not just facilitating conversations between tech and business stakeholders, but understand enough of what they're building, right? That you can see those upstreams and downstreams when it comes to risks, when it comes to trade-offs, when it comes to workarounds. So this is before it really even goes to necessarily the business. It's still a business piece, but starting to see ahead, right? See how that's going to implicate upstream and downstream. So I think systems thinking almost more before the business piece of it. I guess before I give my answer, it looked like you wanted to respond, Justin. So I guess other than the operating system, for me, it's power to change in how a PM is practiced today. So I guess I want to give 2 answers. One is how it's practiced, and one is what I think you should understand. I think that you need to understand the why behind the company vision. and why behind the importance of the work that you're doing, because that allows you to frame the business trade-offs. And also from a practice perspective, just, we're green, we're red, we're 90% done. Give context and give tie your work to the why behind the business. But and it's all kind of wrapping around the same thing. I would say when I think of how it's practiced, I would say it needs to be integrated. And so it still goes to the business, it still goes to the systems level thinking, is that being a project manager should not be a silo. It should not be about creating processes and just reporting on things. It should be an integrated function where you are supporting all of the other teams and seeing how it runs. So it still goes back to the same thing, but it's really just how PM is practiced, not siloed. It should be an integrated function within the organization. Go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. Finish your thought.
That was it.
Okay. So Adem, let us know if there's any follow-up questions, but I wanted to kind of turn it over to you guys, because most of the time we take questions from you all, but I wanted to also take the opportunity, since I have you all listening to us, is what was your favorite LinkedIn Live so far, and why? Are you enjoying these LinkedIn Lives? Do you find that being able to ask questions and being a part of the conversation virtually is helpful? Do we invite the right people? Do we ask the right questions? Please feel free to provide us all the feedback. We really do enjoy providing value to you. As you know, that both Elizabeth and I, we help the project management community. We provide thought leadership, and we try to engage with all of you as often as we can. Now, granted, I've been on a pretty big LinkedIn hiatus, about 2.5 weeks now. But yeah, please drop in the chat. Let us know what it is your favorite podcast episode has been so far, and whether you like the format that we have or not. Yeah, I have a question for you.
Says,
oh, I can't see.
I think yours is my favorite live. Thank you. Which one was your favorite, Justin?
My favorite? Whew. Come back to me, because I have a difference in terms of what favorite means. I have to think that one through. You can start.
Hey, Matt. Okay, so my favorite one, they're also different. I feel like I loved the one with Mark Snukas because I'm a huge fan of strategy. So topic for me, and the one with Josh Hammonds as well. But I think my favorite was Elias. That's why we keep bringing him back, because and I'm starting to see that's coming in now into the chat as well, which is why we keep bringing him back, right? Elias Cobb, Let Me Into the Mind of a Recruiter. Like recruiter one, I don't remember his name. It's Elias. He'll be back on March 20th. Elias. So yeah, I mean, I think that's my favorite, not just because there's just so much engagement. It's such a hot topic. And also, by the way, because we have him coming back and we're working on the promo materials, if there's something specific that you want us to talk about, let us know. We think we have the agenda, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason we bring him back. It's a hot topic. He's an engaging guest, and everyone is engaged with him. And so that is why we continue to bring him back. He's also just a really great guy. I mean, I was on the phone with him a few days ago. I was like, I have questions. Like I talk with him all the time and still have questions, and he's always available to answer, which is so great. So yeah, I guess it depends on the topic, but a live perspective, what is the most engaging? The ones where and you know what? PMO Joe too was great. We started getting into a topic. So it's all recruiting, right? But we started getting into a topic about integrated project management, integrated organizational, I think delivery, it calls it OPD, right? And it was like we could have kept diving in and we ran out of time. So I think the ones where you just get so invested and you could just keep going, where it doesn't feel like an interview and it's just a conversation. Those are my favorites because everyone gets the most out of it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't have a favorite because each of them I took a different lens and I learned from
Mhm.
every single one of them. All the way from our first live to the last live that we did. Um, to me, it was just fascinating. I got to learn a little bit more about AI and talk to leaders within the industry as well as people within the project management space. We even got to touch on construction for a while. And Shane was
Mhm.
really engaging. It was fun talking to Shane and learning more about construction project management. Most times we don't talk about that. And so,
Yeah.
Raghu, I see that you want to bring in some more use cases and case studies. You're saying on the live, you'd like us to go through use cases and case studies or through the PM career growth itself?
Well, he answers that. I would say, the thing about Shane that people didn't get to hear as much is when we first met Shane, because we coffee chat with everyone. So that's, again, if you have guests you want us to bring on, let us know. We coffee chat with everyone, we meet them. And that conversation, what was supposed to be a 30-minute call, I think ended up being like 90 minutes to 2 hours. He's got stories. He's knowledgeable. And we're like, how do we put this into a live in just an hour? So, yeah, well, Raghu gets back to that. We've got a couple of questions popping in. So, first up, what advice would you give to someone contemplating switching careers into project management, knowing what you know now compared to what you knew when you started your PM career? I would want to know, and you can write back to us, by the way, and then we can answer it back. I want to know why you want to switch, what it is you're looking for in a career you're kind of trying to escape from, because there's a lot of different facets to project management. When I first started in the career, I was like, I get to tell everyone what to do. That's what I thought the role was, because, type A, super detailed. It's not about telling people what to do. Yeah, still kind of do, but it's not like I get to be bossy. That's not how it works, right? So if I tell someone about it, you have to be able to be comfortable in a thankless job where you're stressed a lot, where you're navigating emotional intelligence is important, navigating emotions. Like, I think being a being a great project manager is a very hard and stressful job when you look at it beyond keeping a project on track, managing a budget, managing a schedule. It's so much more than that. And I think that's what, when you take like certification courses like PMP or other ones like that, right? Like, you don't get the experience. It gives you the foundations, right? Of how do you manage a budget. I don't even, it does tell you how to manage a budget, but how do you manage a budget? How do you manage a schedule? It'll walk you through all these things. It'll go through like methodologies and frameworks. But when you get into the role, it is so different. And so I want to know, whoever wrote that, because I can't see who wrote it, please let us know what it is you're looking for, why you're considering a change, because then we can speak to it better. Because it's not, again, the tactics of it are fairly easy and can be learned. The lived reality of it is a very difficult job. So I'd love to be able to expand on that. Justin, do you want to jump in on that one or wait until we get an answer back?
No, no. I think the one thing that we really need to learn here is when we're switching careers, don't just jump to a coach. First things first, go talk to people that are already in the existing career that you want to be, the industry and the functions. Get an idea as to what it is that makes you competitive and then track around that. Don't validate your assumptions based off of a TikTok, a YouTube, or a friendly email newsletter. The biggest thing that I would probably caution when you want to switch into a project management role, figure out what it is that you need in order to actually be a competent project manager. It's not just going to be about chasing a certification or a coaching mechanism, but about trying to learn how to navigate job searching in the modern world. AI isn't going to cut it. And also, just wanting to switch and having that eagerness isn't enough either.
Again, I think that comes back down to, what do you want in your next role? What are you looking for that's going to make you happy? I'm going to ask that, is what are you looking for? It's going to make you happy, because that's going to help define whether or not you kind of want to move or shift gears.
Do you see the question from Lisa?
Yep, I do. All right.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's where I go with is why are you switching? What is going to make you happy? And then we can kind of answer that. All right. From Lisa, lately it seems like too many organizations are prioritizing project management candidates who have familiarity with the tool platform versus the value they bring as an adaptive, strategic, and collaborative project manager. How can project management candidates convince hiring managers of their value despite having no experience with the tools or the internal platforms?
Oh, I can take that.
Do you want? I can take it too. Either way.
So it comes down to the hiring manager's aversion to risk. When you're hiring someone, you're putting a lot of effort and energy, and they don't want to repeat the process. So having transferable skills is not always enough to assuage people from that you're a flight risk. And so if you don't understand the tool, the platform, the industry, the business function, then you're already behind the 8 ball in terms of experience, as well as the ability to talk the talk. Specifically, when prioritizing for project management jobs, if you don't know the specific tool or platform, then how are you going to be able to hold people accountable who are working through that work? Plus, how are you going to identify risks and issues and mitigate them if you don't have of impacts that can happen to implementing or using the tools, specifically around change management, operations, and overall the technical acumen. Now, I'm not saying that it's just an end all be all or that it's fair, but when you kind of take a look at the perspective from a hiring team, I don't want to have to go through this process again and find another one. So I'm going to try to vet somebody who either A, gives me enough confidence that they have enough transferable skills that this is a non-issue, which is harder than somebody's, oh, they've done this before, they've used the same tool, they've done the same industry and the function. I don't need to worry about it. It's a no-brainer. And then they can go through the interview process. But
so I'm gonna go an entirely different direction because I actually don't agree with that. Because you're right. We need to convince them that we have transferable skills. But this is about, if the question specifically about a tool or platform, first of all, look up the tool, watch some YouTube videos, see what it is, and you might even be able to practice it. You can put it on your resume that you're familiar with or basically familiar with it, but also call out other familiar tools. Because a lot of times, let's say when it comes to a project management tool, okay, like a portfolio planning that do schedules and do the budgets and do all of that, there are a lot of tools that are so similar. So flag that you're familiar with other similar tools, call them by portfolio management systems or whatever it's called. And then put each resume as long as you understand it. So for example, like if a Tableau or a Power BI or something comes up, okay, or advanced Excel, I'm not super strong in those. Sometimes, ChatGPT will be like, no, put that on your resume. I'm like, if I don't feel comfortable with that word thing, advanced, no. If it just says you won't come to be able to do it, I know how to use those tools. I can do some research and I actually understand it well enough to be able to do it, and you can learn it on the job. So when you're in the interview, if they're asking that, you say, I'm familiar with the tool. A lot of my teams have used it, but I've used all of these similar tools. And I feel like that should be fine. Be upfront. I had an interview for like a director role like a few years ago, and that product team, I think they used AHA, and I've never used AHA, but I did my research on it. I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it. I can see what tools it's familiar to about, or what tools it was familiar to, and like how it was set up. And I was actually ready to answer questions about it, of where I think there are some strengths, where I think there's some weaknesses, and obviously where I can learn. I would be upfront in an interview. No, I haven't used it, but I've done enough research. I've used these similar tools, etc. And so I think that's how you you convince them is you do the research, you say what similar things you've used and how to approach it. I had an interview a couple of weeks ago where we were on what is it called? It's a platform, a re-platform for e-commerce, and I think they're on Shopify. I did my research on Shopify. I'm familiar with it because I've been in the e-commerce space. I've never transferred to it, but I did my research on it. And in the interview, I said very clearly, I have not personally used Shopify. I'm familiar with the tool. I use all of these tools that are just like that are on one, etc. And I spoke to it. And that was perfectly fine with them because I addressed it head on, but I said, it's not going to be a problem. I still understand what it takes to do a re-platform. I still understand what dependencies we have to look at and so forth. So that's the direction I go. I know I went on tangent there. We've got time. Let's see. They use Power BI just before this webinar. I registered for a Power BI. Yeah, you go to the Power BI class. I mean, analytics is like, building those dashboards is one of my weakest like skills, but it doesn't mean I can't do it. It's just I haven't really had to. I mean, I was in a role years ago where they wanted us to learn SQL. I particularly love it. It's not my area of expertise, but I learned how to write some SQL. It's a hard skill. That's the thing. The core skills are harder to learn. Hard skills that are like actually technical, you can take a class or two and learn it and get up to speed. You don't look like you agree with me, Justin. So I want to give you a second answer.
No. You're going at it from the perspective of what they can do, and I was going at it from the hiring manager perspective. There's nothing wrong with it. So combined together, it's a perfect answer, and it looks like it helped Lisa. I'm just gonna say that the reality is you just might not be selected because you might not have the experience, and they're not going to take you. That's just the flat out answer.
So let's jump into that for a second. I know we've had Elias on, but here's kind of a rule of thumb. If you're applying for a role and they're asking for something, I would say in this market, and guys, please drop more questions in the chat. But in this market, I would say all of the required skills you really should have, and probably 80 to 90% of the like to have skills you should have if you're even going to apply. If you think it's a perfect fit minus that tooling thing, again, if you do enough research, you can still put it on the resume, even if it says basic skills, or if you can find out who the hiring manager or recruiter is. Apply for the role, write them with your resume attached and say, this is a perfect fit. And just, again, try and build that relationship. That's kind of where I would, so Luis Galvez says,
Hold
tool
on.
familiarity versus expert knowledge needs to be defined in order to better answer the question. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes they do say advanced knowledge, and sometimes they just say, they list stuff out. So again, you don't want to lie. You want to be upfront, right? But again, if they're just listing it, right, would be great if you have this experience. They're telling you what tools they use right then and there, right? And so you can, I've even said where would be great if you have used these portfolio management tools. So in front of the tools section, portfolio management tools, list them all. And if there's one of them that you don't have, again, sometimes I put it on, sometimes I don't. It depends. There's a lot of tools out there that you can do free demos that are so quick to pick up. I mean, again, BI stuff's a little more complicated, but it depends.
Raghu, thank you for your statement. Thanks a lot for sharing knowledge at a free cost. Nowadays, information is money. Nonetheless, you're providing it for free. Yeah, you'll have plenty of options. You have our social media accounts, our LinkedIn, our, what is it called? Our LinkedIn posts. Cynthia, since you're one of our trailblazers, I wanted to ask you, since you're on the call, what's your favorite lesson from PM career growth so far that you've had?
It's going to take a second for her to type. So
yeah,
I'll ask you the same question, Justin. What do you think is our most valuable lesson? Because we offer
You
free
know
knowledge,
which
we also
ones.
create lessons. What's that?
Oh, I know which ones.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite two is the business survivability one and the organizational politics. These are the two lessons that if you wanted to get anything out of our platform immediately for your career, it would be these two. Learning how to tie everything you do as a project manager to revenue, cost, liability, and strategic position, and navigating politics, having awareness that an organizational politics will impact your project in one way or another. You cannot neglect it.
I'd say also our working with difficult stakeholders, how we navigate those relationships, it very much ties to the politics one. But again, whoever asked earlier about, what do you wish you knew then that you now, right? Understanding how these dynamics are set up, how to navigate culture and chaos. I hate the term chaos to clarity or whatever, because it's just an AI term, but we really do that. I mean, that is our job, is to keep it from being chaos, keep things on track.
It stops you from being scapegoated a lot. And you're mitigating the impact, or you're insulating yourself against politics as much as possible by understanding it. But I guess that goes into a great piece. So what is it that we're working on right now from PM Career Growth E?
I don't know. What are we working on right now?
We've got a lesson. We've got a lesson around project governance that's launching today. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, so
I've
that's
talked
to today. I was going to say, so, we teach from 8 lenses, right? And so we're working on bundles for that, to be able to really, so we talked about the importance of systems thinking. Systems thinking is one of our lenses. So, we're working on a bundle that really helps people align, understand systems thinking and how to actually be able to do that in the real world. We do emotional intelligence. We've got the budget. The budgeting one is really is almost done. So that's where I was going to. What we're working on is we're really trying these lenses that we come from. We're trying to teach you guys, and we try to do that as well in the LinkedIn Live, right? We're trying to in the LinkedIn Lives, we try to come at it from these angles as well, trying to teach you guys and provide value to you guys through real world scenarios and conversations that focus in through different lenses. And I'll see if I can list them all off, because I don't know if I can. We've got politics, business acumen, emotional intelligence, communication, data and storytelling, systems thinking. Did I say I'm missing two? Did I say emotional intelligence? I said, okay, I didn't say emotional intelligence, and can't remember the last one. It's a lot to round off. You guys should be filling us with questions. Now we're just filling the airspace, guys. What other questions do you have for us?
No, I don't think that's incorrect. I think it's important that they understand the PM Career Growth and the ecosystem, how it came to be. Why did we even create it? There are already existing project management learning platforms out there. Why should they even care? We offer free stuff with our TikTok, our Instagram, our LinkedIn, YouTube. We have the LinkedIn Lives where we talk to different people and you see the types of questions that we ask, because we come from decades of experience, collectively over 30 years of experience between the two of us in the tech space, in the product space, in the manufacturing space. And what we've learned, we want to impart that onto people. I'm personally sick and tired of those who pretend that they're coaches or talk about project or program management without a really fundamental understanding about the difference between a project support role and a project leader role.
Well, the thing is, we don't teach frameworks. I mean, yes, in our lessons, we say, here's the PMCG framework, but we're really just teaching something that we know works because we've done it in our real world experience, right? That gives you guidance for how to navigate that real world scenario. But we don't, it's kind of, we don't do certifications. We don't do methodologies, so to speak. It's everything we teach through these lenses is based on our real world experience. It's based on the not so fun stuff, right? How do you deal with risks and issues? How do you even, I mean, at its simplest, one of the first things we taught, right, was how to write a status report, which seems simple, but one that's not actually just going to get thrown in the trash or deleted, or that actually drives your strategic visibility and helps you be seen as a business advocate. So there's difference in how we do that. So we try to take all of that from what we've experienced and do things. The interesting thing is, so Justin and I do not agree on everything. I'll tell you guys that much. There are some things that like I can feel blood boiling as I say this right now because we really disagree on, right? And we come from different backgrounds. And I'm not talking like where we grew up. I'm talking backgrounds in our careers. Yes, I've done consulting. He's done more consulting. I've done more like being part of PMOs and more strategy and more portfolio work. And so we don't agree on everything, but that's okay. So then we may argue about how we do the outlines, or we may say, okay, we might need to do 2 lessons, right? Because we need to make sure we're giving you guys the real point of view. What applies for any scenario you're in and what applies based on the scenario you're in. So the lesson that Justin just mentioned, the governance one, I don't particularly align with this one. That's okay. This works for him. It's something proven that has worked for him for 15 years, and it works for a lot of people because we come from different experiences. With me being more in the PMO space, it doesn't necessarily apply. So it provides a caveat. And I think that's important, is that we're trying to make sure that this applies for you guys no matter what situation you're in. And we'll call out if it applies to one situation more than the other, so you know how to apply it. And we provide scenarios and examples to walk you through that as well.
Lisa, feel free to DM me the syllabus, just the bullet points, not the details of the project bundle. I'd be curious to see how much that you could have gotten instead of paying $3,000 if you had just taken some of our on-demand courses. I think you're right. Emotional intelligence courses do need to come from anyone, not just project or program management. I think Elizabeth and I just lean on our program and project PMO experience and layer emotional intelligence, because there are a lot of people in project management that get scapegoated and they just don't really understand how to deal with people. It's not a top-down effect. It's not a circle back concept. It's far more complex than that. And that I have literally used a lot of these tools that we teach you that have prevented me from being scapegoated or from being pulled from projects, not because of performance or doing the right thing, but because there are other mechanisms that are in place. And if you don't know how to navigate them correctly, it's not going to matter.
It's not just, it's regardless of industry, it's even regardless of role. Any position, and we talked about building relationships and navigating politics, right? Whether you're a PM or not, anyone who's in an organization is going to have to do that. And being emotionally intelligent and understanding that and emotionally intelligent is a mix of your own self-awareness as well as awareness of those around you. So it's not just reading the room, it's reading yourself and knowing how that's going to portray to others as well. So yeah, I mean, that's something I didn't know when I first started either. Again, remember I said when I first started out, I'm like, great, I get to tell everyone what to do. It took a long time for me to learn how to be softer, to not like bend or flex in terms of like not doing my job well or anything like that, but in language, in tone, in understanding culture and how you need to speak to to different people and different teams and people from different cultures, and knowing how to, again, reading the room, being able to read body language, all of those things. That's something you're going to learn in the book. And to be honest, it's not something that you're going to learn that quickly. You know, you either can read people well or you can't. Otherwise, it's really going to be practiced. But, you know, something you can do is not be the loudest one in the room. You know, we say that a lot of leaders aren't the loudest ones in the room, but think about how powerful it is if you actually aren't talking in the room and just observing. What do you observe about people? Like, that is a powerful lesson that you can then apply to become emotionally intelligent, to control the temperature of the room and know how to, you know, reduce conflict or de-escalate. So all of that, and you don't even have to be a PM. Forget the industry, forget the role, right? Like, those are important skills even in life to have, and it will help. It'll help you regardless in your life. Let's see.
Dean, thank you. We've had plenty of debates already. Some of them have been public, some of them have not, but I enjoy going head to head on them. There's a lot of practical things that have truly helped and set me apart from somebody who has 3 letters after their name for a long time.
And I have 3 letters after my name, by the way. I have a lot of certifications. But we don't teach from them. We do not teach from them in the least bit. They don't come into play whatsoever, because that's not how you're going to learn how to become great at this.
I would coin it differently. I'd say that you can learn the fundamentals from the 3-letter entities and whatever. I'm not going to discourage you from them. Then come to us and learn a little bit more about the practicality, the fundamentals plus. I think that would be a more appropriate way to frame it, because if you're pivoting into project management, now I'm not exactly sure about the criteria for taking these 3-letter credentials, but we won't go into that for this lesson.
A lot of people ask though. So I don't discourage certs. I think it's a great foundational knowledge. I just think it's foundational. It gets you so far. That's the thing. If you want to take it further, then you have to do continuous learning. And it doesn't have to be through us. I mean, it can be any way you do continuous learning. You can get a mentor. You can watch YouTube videos. You can do LinkedIn Lives like this, like watch those. Like, there's so many opportunities. So if you can't afford it, right? Like, it's a lived experience job. So yeah.
Thank you, Vinay. Sometimes it does make outlining a little bit hard, because we spend about 2 hours talking about a point, and then we present our cases, and I'm like, okay, I could see for this particular scenario and this particular set of context that it applies, so we should include it because we want to be comprehensive. We're not trying to just report out a lesson just for the sake of cranking out another lesson. We want it to be meaningful, usable. And so, yeah, Vinay, you'll find that there's a lot of back and forth between he and I.
It doesn't really show as much unless we're like, if we had chosen to do this today, that was just a debate, a topic, right? Or if you guys want to ask us a spicy question, because we can still take questions, right? That we disagree on. You guys just don't know what we disagree on. But we're very aware of the topics that we're aligned on and what we're really not aligned on. So if you happen to nail one of those spicy topics, then you'll get some disagreement between us. But it's debate. It's not fighting, it's debating. It's going back and forth through our experiences. But yeah, do please write any more questions. Justin, what else do you think is important to share? What do you think is, here, I'll ask you one. What is the biggest life lesson you've learned as a PM?
All right, I got it.
Oh, do you? Because I would not have an answer for that.
It was very simple for me. No matter your intent, no matter if you're acting in good faith, no matter if it's the right thing to do, if you do not have people who are on board with your idea, it does not matter. You can have the greatest idea in the world that will save millions for a company. And if no one believes it, or no one is on board with it, or if you're a project manager and you're trying to do the right thing by helping the enterprise be more efficient or helping the team, and you don't have anyone backing you or agreeing with your idea, you're just going to put a target behind your back. Be very, very aware that how you make people feel and the optics behind all of your actions is the most important thing that you're going to learn in dealing with people.
So he just touched on 4 or 5 of the lenses we teach through just by saying that. So you need to know how people feel, emotional intelligence. How do you, the whole target on the back thing, there's politics. How do you get people on your side? That's going to be influence through data and storytelling, communication. So, but let's talk about that for a second, because you bring a good point of if you have this great idea, how do you influence that authority, right? Because that's really what it leans to, is if we're trying to influence them, trying to get something across, we have to navigate politics, yes, but how do we influence without authority? How do we get our other people on board? And this is for project managers for any role.
That's actually a great one, because that's my secret favorite lesson that we first recorded in the entire
Have we recorded
library.
that one yet?
Temporary authority. Creating temporary authority. Yeah, 4 different ways. One of them is building a coalition. Another is through data, of gathering timelines and follow-up information. A third, all right, Dean, I'll answer your question.
Finish your
I know, I'm trying. A third one is going to be by pushing the idea to somebody else so they can present it on your behalf. So using their temporary authority and title. And the fourth one is going to be by, why can't I remember the fourth one? Was there only 3?
Let's go back to the lesson. What did we write?
It's embarrassing. I've been having
it's been a while. We did that one like 4 or 5 months ago.
No, I know, but it's a fundamental thing for me. So that's why.
Data and presentation.
I'll come to
coalition. Oh, I use force multiplying. It was probably mine of the force multiply.
Force multiplying. That's it. That's why, because I don't use
so
force
what is
multiply.
force multiplying,
you can explain
by
that.
the way? Let's clarify what force multiplying is. So it's similar to what you just said, getting someone to kind of influence for you, but it's getting someone aligned with you that has so much influence and sway and power. So the example that I use is I was trying to get a company to migrate to a specific tool, and I got someone on my side who was the director of all of the app development. So since every team had to go through app development, it was kind of like, well, we really have a choice now because their team is shifting. So that's kind of force multiplication, is getting like the really big teams or it's almost like forced influence, right? Of getting those people on your side and kind of helping sway. All right, Justin, to you. Dean says, what's your biggest career win?
Well, that's a loaded question, Dean, but thank you. I'm going to answer it in 2 ways. One is from just an overall career perspective. I rescued a 6-month, $600 million project by first getting on one call and asking 3 questions around dependencies and cross-functional teams and their upstream activities. And I got immediately a ping from the client, pinging my boss's boss, asking who this Justin guy was. So I was able to rescue the project, build reputation, and get accolades for the company, all within the same week. The second piece in my career has been around helping people get jobs. So I coach and I mentor. And my mentoring, a lot of it is around resume writing and career search. I've had a few people who I've provided the feedback to, they found a job, and it really just made me happy because I just do this for fun. I don't do it for the sake of making money off of it unless we go through a formal coaching program. But I just review people's resumes and provide them feedback, and to have them get something tangible out of it always makes me happy, as I love to give back. E, what about you?
And you're going to turn that back to me. I don't know. I've had, I guess one of my biggest career wins started with a failure. Um, where I was doing a launch and in tech, you do middle of the night launches. So you have lasers online and anything that could go wrong in that launch. And it was the first launch I did kind of by myself. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And we ended up rolling back. But I ended up, I learned what I did wrong. I fixed it. I became the go-to person in the company to manage all launches going forward. So I guess, yeah, for me, biggest wins can come from failures or mistakes. It depends on how you learn. How do you learn from them? How do you lift up? I mean, I was so upset, right? But there wasn't time to be upset because you just kind of had to fix it to move forward. But then how did I take that further and help myself and help the company beyond that? So I guess it's not, I mean, I've done a lot of really cool stuff in my career. I built a lot of processes. I saved a lot of company money. I built departments. But for me, the biggest career win is going to be that more personal, where I took something that I failed at and became that go-to person. I was never going to fail at that again. I don't like failing. I don't like making mistakes. So that probably is it for me.
Okay, E. So turning things a little bit more to our formal process, where can people find you?
So people could find me specifically on my LinkedIn and at peaktransformationservices.com, where I help companies and founders. I help companies and founders and established businesses scale their operations, as well as help project managers land new roles and become more strategically visible. And then they can find us on pmcareergrowth.com. Justin already dropped that in there. We have a Instagram and a TikTok and a YouTube, and this LinkedIn, it's all at PM Career Growth. And then if you go to pmcareergrowth.com, that's where you'll find our lessons. And when I get time to upload them, the previous podcasts we've done as well. And Justin, anything you want to add about where you can be found?
No. I have Pregenshin PM. It's my own personal company around delivery services and coaching for modern project management around business advocacy. But the other thing that I would probably emphasize here is that we really appreciate you all taking the time to come with us, chat, supporting the ecosystem, asking thoughtful questions, supplying us with audience members that you'd like us to interview or have on our podcasts. I know that we've had other podcast guests that are not live that we're working through, but if you know anyone that is looking for or also for editing purposes for video content and all of that, we're definitely looking for that to help support the PM Career Growth ecosystem. For Elizabeth and I are the ones who have been doing all of this. And as you can tell, I already have a day job and I have another business that I run. So it does get a little bit cumbersome. So if you have any suggestions, we're open to hearing about them as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, especially let us know. You guys provide great support, and then let us know who you want on, because we choose the guests unless you guys tell us who you potentially want us to bring on. So as long as we frame it through one of our lenses, it doesn't have to be someone who's a project manager. There are a lot of people that we haven't brought on as project managers. I mean, Josh Hammonds was our first one, right? It was all through about emotional intelligence, which is so important in communication, right? Elias, who we have recurring, right? He's a recruiter, agency recruiter, but that helps you guys. So it's really about helping you guys. And how do we, through our lenses, help teach you? Or I guess the recruiting is a little bit separate, just because that's still about getting your career on track and getting yourself visible. So.
And if you haven't, then feel free to sign up for our free newsletter. This gives you an idea of all of the events that are coming up and any of the lessons that we launch. It's no cost to you and just keeps you informed. And if you're welcome to, then we can engage you for some additional private feedback so it's not public as well. So,
yep. So next week, we haven't promoted it yet. We will. Next week, we've got Clint Kendrick. We'll be talking through project management through the lens of M&A integration. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll bring Elias Cobb back. And then we have a tentative schedule right now for April. I'm not going to announce that yet, just in case we need to swap the days. But if there's, again, anyone you want to have us bring on, please let us know. With that, thank you so much for everyone that attended today. It was a bit of a different live for us. We just wanted to be able to answer any questions you may have had. And we will see you next week. Bye.
cheers.